So let's go straight into a quick recap. I want to welcome everyone who is joining
us in our communities. Welcome. And wow, this is going to be exciting. So I hope if you have not downloaded your workbook, do so now. That way you can work along with us. This is not just a workshop, but this is a working shop because we want you to leave with some of those major wins that will help you to really start working on your book in a way that will make it easy for you to get it done.
Definitely. For those of you who are now joining us live, come on, just type in the chat. Let us know what part of the globe, what part of the world that you are joining us. Type in the chat. We are a community. This is our book accountability group. We just want to support you in moving forward and think creatively and think strategically of how you are approaching your book publishing process. All right, so type in the chat and we're going to shout you out as we move forward. So let's do a quick recap. Like an avid teacher, I know Samar is in the house. So like all teachers, you got to do a recap before you move forward. Yes, Samar, all the way from Kuwait. Thank you so much for being a part of the process with us. Let's see who else is in the house. Let's see. Okay, beautiful. All right, so let's move quickly forward as we talk about our recap process. Oh, I've seen. Hey, Nikki J is in the house. So good to have you with us as well. All right, so the first point that we talked about was pulling your existing content. All right, you have a lot of existing content. How do you begin to shift your mindset from, hey, I don't think I have anything. But we explored there are many areas you have content, be it journals, blogs. You may have done a video series, and you can transcribe that content and transform that into a book, a thesis, a sermon, whatever it is you've been teaching consistently, that can be turned into content which can bring forth your best-selling book. The next area is where we talked about identifying where you could find that content. So some of you had your homework was to go under that bed, right? Climb up in that attic, go back to that bookshelf and begin to pull that off the shelf, blow the dust off of it, and re-engage that content.
Yeah, and then after you find out where the content is and you have actually put down the titles of the content, we're going to use the same names. Hello, KJ and Sunday from NJ and NY. We're going to use the names of the content and use that to develop our chapters of our books. So we gave an example. If you had did a series maybe a year ago on Facebook, for example, that focused on the 15 ways that you can get your sexy back, right? We would use that title as the major chapter title for your book. So chapter 1 would be called How to Get Your Sexy Body Back. And then from there, we would then use we would think about what other things could we talk about regarding that one chapter. So for example, you would find that fitness is a part of the conversation on how to get your body back. Health and wellness, eating a proper diet, all of that are subchapters related to that major chapter of your book.
And definitely, and the other area we went into is what we talked about, content creation.
Yes.
And what are the layers in developing that content creation? So we all know the fundamental rule is not just about telling the story, but showing the story and unpacking that story. And how do you allow that content creation to engage the audience where there's vulnerability, there is the intentionality of not just sharing your story chronologically, but really capturing that moment, taking that one moment and allowing that moment to be zoomed into, enlarged, and inviting people into that experience. So we had Sharon at the front of the class. She talked about that moment with us in her transparency of checking herself into a mental institute and what that process was like. And again, Sharon, we had a mastermind discussion and we talked about how you unpack that and allow us to be in that space. So you talked about that story a couple hours ago, but it's still alive today.
Yes.
And that's the effect you're going to have, Patricia. That's the effect you're going to have, Samara, when you share your story, when you begin to unfold that content creation in a very creative way. You are actually allowing people to be a part of the process. They see themselves in you, and they willingly accept you as their teacher, because hear this, no one cares about your story if there is not a lesson. I want you to write that down. No one cares about your story if there isn't a lesson. And no one also cares about the lesson if there isn't a story, right? Because no one likes to be lectured to. Pon Samar. She's a professor in the house, right? So this might challenge you how you teach your content, right? No one wants to admit that they don't know. But a very creative way of bringing that information is telling the story, and it increases your enrollment. Come on, that's the kind of language we want to talk about. It increases enrollment because you want to turn your book into a business. You want to turn your message into a mission. So we really deep dive on that. If you need to see that content, you could check out our YouTube page, and you could get some of that information there. And the other area that we discussed, let me just pull my notes up, which is today. We are talking about
the title tower technique. So after you have mastered the strategies that we give you, that we just gave you as a review, and it's in the workbook, you will now want to create your best-selling title. And the reason why this is so important is because not only are people judging the content of your work, but they are first judging and making an assessment of your work based on the title. And so if you would turn to page 6 in your workbook, and we're going to dive right into it. So the title tower technique is all about creating elements that will help your reader understand that this book is for them. So there are 4 pillars to this tower. One of the pillars, and that's T1, is numbers. What numbers can you use to let the reader know that this is what they can expect from your book? For example, when I wrote my book, On a Mission, 21 Secrets for College Success, I knew that my audience, they were college students. And like many of us when we were in college, we feel like we have a limited amount of time. So we want to get in where we fit in and get as much information as possible in a short period of time. And so I knew that numbers would be necessary so that my reader would know what they could get out of it immediately without having to be intimidated by just the title alone. So numbers. How many steps are you teaching? How many techniques are you sharing? Consider using numbers as a part of your title tower.
So Patricia, Samar, Sharon, type in the chat. For those of you who are looking us on live stream, type in the chat, what are the steps that you are providing? All right, put those examples down. This is a space for you just to lay it on the table. So 5 steps to a banging body, or 5 steps to your comeback, or 3 ways of XYZ. What are those specific areas? And I want you, as you begin to write down those title topic statements with using the number as your leading role, you are actually providing a formula, and you're telling people you're going to be taking them step by step
on a particular journey.
So always remember that key question: what problem are you solving? So you are saying, I'm solving a problem, and I'm taking you through that process towards a solution, step by step. Those are the triggers. That's how you identify the psychographic of your crowd. So I want you to type in the chat, what are the steps? What are the solution? What are the 3 ways? What are the 3 techniques?
What are the 4 secrets?
The 4 secrets. So come on, type that in the chat. Beautiful. Patricia says 8 steps to create a life you love.
I want to read that book.
Come on now, right?
Right, because immediately it draws you in. She could have just said, how to create a life you love. Yeah, well, that to a busy person may seem a bit intimidating because our lives are so complex, but she breaks this complex topic into 8 steps. Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I want you guys, feel free to put that in the comments. Let people know, because this is where you are helping others to begin to unpack that process. So Patricia goes forward to say, what are the steps? What are the secrets? Right? So you know, when you say that I'm placing those 8 steps as the writer, the author to be, the best-selling author to be, you now have to now craft what are those steps that takes someone from that place of unhappiness to now creating the life that they love. Now, reverse engineer. You would have had content. You may have had diaries or whatever it is. Now, because you've created these 8 buckets, Patricia, or these 8 specific areas, now you can, Nikki, begin to put all of those content in the categories of those 8 steps.
Yes.
All right. I'm helping someone here with organizing that content.
Come on.
All right. So now you've identified the 8 steps. You're going to cause these 8 steps to be thematic. So Patricia, tell us, what are 2 of those steps? You could just drop it in the comment there and we're going to share it with the group. What is 1 of those steps? What is 2 of those steps? What is step 3? What is step 4? What is step 5? We're going to allow you to be in this working space and drop the answers there. And I want everyone, even as I'm talking to Patricia, I'm talking to you, Nikki, I'm talking to you, Sunday, I'm speaking to you, Samara, all right? We had that conversation from the top, all right, when we first met. What is the solution that you're walking people through towards this new experience, or the solution that you're providing? All right, so think about it right now, and I want you to write it down. I want you to think strategically about it. I want you to think earnestly about it, because this is where you are saying to people, this is the problem that I solve.
That's right.
This is the desire I create. This is the solution that I provide. Now, Patricia, your title topic touches a very, very key area here. I want everyone to listen up here. Good businesses solve problems or provide solutions. But unforgettable businesses create a desire. Some either create a desire or some simply solve a problem. But when you're able to bring the 2 together,
that's right,
man, you're going to work magic right there. Because when you say 8 steps to create a life you love, you are talking about an emotion, a desire. All right. So I've picked up a new hobby. And that new hobby is I've been looking at videos of minivan lifestyles. So people who they just take a minivan, they recreate it on the inside. And the key to people who live that type of life, they say create a life that you never need a vacation from. Come on, somebody who wants a lifeline. Create a life that you never need a vacation from.
Yes.
So there's a whole community. There's a whole community. Well, I see Patricia saying, juicy, juicy, juicy. I'm going to borrow that, right? Create a life. So I've been telling my wife, I said, I already have my retirement plan in mind. I said, I want my gift to be a minivan, all decked out. And I just want to drive, visiting not just different states, but different countries. And they were talking about how they would drive from the US all the way to South America. And when they reach to the end of South America, they ship their van back to the US and they fly back to the States. And they're like, I want to create that type of life. So I want you to think about it. Whatever your type of topic is, for those of you who are now joining us, we're talking about the 8 strategies that to move you from blank page to published book. And we are going through the workbook session.
Yes.
It's called the forward framework. We want to move you forward through these strategies. And we are talking about the title,
Tower technique. Yes.
All right. Creating that technique. Hey, Molly, so good. Thank goodness. I catch this before it's over. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So good. I'm so happy that we are getting your juices flowing. But guess what? That's only T1, right? And the great part about the title tower technique is that you can use a combination of these strategies. So try using numbers. That's T1. The second way that you can develop your title is through T2, using controversial topics to really engage your reader. And I get excited about this because I'm always intrigued by authors who are willing to go the extra mile and do this. And here are some examples that you may know. There was one that was really popular a couple years ago, Girl, Wash Your Face. It's like, it's very confrontational, right? It slaps you in the face and says, wait, what is she saying to me? Another one was act like a man and think like a woman. No, think like a man and what is it? Think like a man and act like a woman, right? That's controversial because it immediately makes you think like, okay, how can I be a woman but also think like a man, right? There are so many great examples. There's a book called Love and Peace, The Art of War. An example again is just facts. Women are smarter than men. So you can really.
Is that true?
Ladies, we know it is. But yeah, so you can really engender a new audience just by the title of your book. It is amazing just how, choosing to be controversial will either draw people to you, which you want, or repel people from you, which you also want, right? To have a segmented audience is actually beneficial in some instances because then you're able to speak their language, you're able to vibe with your tribe effectively, and really engender that type of movement that can come from your message.
So let me use Samara as an example. I could call you out, Samara, because you're part of our family now. So one of the key ways to use controversial examples in your title topic is when you're dealing with issues that people are afraid to confront. So, all right, so right now, Samara's on a journey to engaging professionals to no longer be afraid of using their skills, their techniques to really create a difference in the world. But here's a sneaky part. What she's really speaking to is the confession that the world is in chaos. And the world is in such chaos and inertia, it requires people to step up and be counted. So if you are really trying to call people to shine to their brightest, if you are willing to present what we call carefrontation and look people in the eye and saying, why are you hiding? If you're willing now to tell people, stop allowing your light to be dim. If you're willing to confront people and say that, by you dimming your light is a position of selfishness and someone is suffering because of that decision, you now have to begin to say, I want to be a provocateur. I want to be someone that is really going to light some healthy fire under some change agents, some sleeping giants, because the world needs you now. Come on, somebody. So I want you to begin to think like that. As an author, you're bringing a message to provoke a discussion that is not being talked about. So Sharon, we talked about it before, mental health amongst African Americans, right? Amongst the Black community, how that discussion has been stymied because of false flags, right? Misunderstanding of that mental health does not mean insanity, right? It just talks about mental well-being. How do I engage that discussion in such a provocative way? All right. So I want to challenge you to think along that lines. And as Chandler is saying, it could be a number, or it could be a combination, it could be a title topic that really brings that type of engagement. The third one we want to talk about here is the problem example.
That's right. So being very clear on the problem that you solve is excellent in terms of creating a title that will appeal to your reader. So for example, you can be very specific about what you're going to solve by your reader actually reading the content. So here's an example, how to overcome diabetes. That can be your title, identifying specifically that you're going to help this reader overcome diabetes by reading your book.
I see Patricia had put here, how to talk with your children to encourage stronger literacy and love for lifelong learning.
That's excellent.
I love
so
this.
I want you to also, when we're talking about the title tower technique, you're not just focusing on the main title, but this is also helping you to formulate your subtitle as well.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Most books actually need a subtitle because now the trend is lending itself to having a one-word title like SOAR, and then underneath that is a subtitle which explains what that concept means. What does SOAR mean? So let's say, for example, Patricia, she mentioned her book being about how to talk with your child to encourage stronger literacy and love for lifelong learning. Well, her title would not be that long, but her subtitle could be that long. She could probably use something like The Conversation. Or if she's catering it toward an audience that knows about this colloquial thing in the Black community, The Talk, right? And so most parents know what The Talk is. And so they would be intrigued by that 2-word title. And then they're like, oh, The Talk in this context is about how to talk with your child to encourage stronger literacy and love for lifelong learning. Bam, I know immediately when I'm reading that book, it's going to give me exactly what I need to solve that issue for my child.
I'm kind of scared that I will have to do The Talk.
The Talk.
The
Talk can mean many things, okay? There's the birds and bees talk. There is
scary.
The talk, right? So
if you guys have any tips, to prepare me, I'll read your book to get it, right? So I want you guys to engage. So write that in the comment. And again, this is not a workshop, but a working shop. So I want you to type in the comments, type in the chats, what problem do you solve right now? Just type that in the chat right now. We gave the example how to overcome diabetes, how to reconcile cultures, whatever is that, because it's going to remind you. So when you are writing, you don't fall off into a tangent and into tributaries and streams and rivers. And by the time you're done, you're like, okay, where was I before?
Exactly,
all right?
Exactly.
Because this problem that you're solving, you want to have that key front and center. So write that down in the chat. What is the problem that you solve? What is the problem you solve, Sunday? What is the problem you solve, Marlies? What is that problem you solve, Nikki? What is that specific problem you solve? And I want you to type that in the chat and remember what that means to your writing process. Fourthly, it leads right into it's a connecting area. One is a problem and the other one is now solution. This is the fourth title tower technique. Solution: transform your life with a vegan diet.
Right. So you see how your title, which was how to overcome diabetes, is like right in your face about the problem. But then you also add a layer of that because you're being very specific about this solution, because there are many ways that you can overcome diabetes, but you're letting your audience know that you're going to take them on a very specific journey, which is related to incorporating a vegan diet to overcome diabetes. So I think that's brilliant. I love layering the title tower technique so that you can have many elements. I mean, you can even put a number in there, 7 ways to overcome diabetes using a vegan diet, right? So these are so juicy. I want you to play around with it. Don't just stop at formulating one idea, write many ideas. And listen, we want to hear from you. So those of you who are joining us right now, like Marlies, give us an example. Her title is How to Reconnect to Your Authentic Self, a guide for mothers to find themselves after child raising. Love it.
Come on
Love
now.
it. And so that is so juicy, Marlies, that I would recommend you even throwing a number in there. So it even tightens it up more. Excellent.
Like a 7-point guide for mothers, life after
raising children.
Or empty nesters.
Yeah, the title could be Empty Nesters. 7 strategies on how to reclaim your authentic self.
Come on.
They already know it's about them not having children anymore because you already told them I'm talking to you, empty nesters, right? So that's awesome. We have another example from Samar.
She says here, become the good role model. This last one here. The personal branding formula for showing up and inspiring.
I like that. Well, Samar, I think we need to put you in a different class because you are the queen of all things marketing and, coming up with niche phrases and all of that. So I don't know if this, Samar, come on, that was so good.
So make sure to take note of that. She's part of our process. We're supporting her
Yes.
in crafting her message. We're doing some coaching with her, and this is great. So I want you to keep this in your notes, because when this Zoom class closes, you'll be like, okay, where did I write it in the chat? It would be there. So I want you to write it down in your personal note and bring it back for our mastermind, where we're going to unpack that together. Excellent. So thank you so much, guys, for participating and engaging. As we close this topic about the title tower technique, I want to encourage you to move into accountability, because that's what makes the difference with this process. You are here because you know you can't do it alone. And one of the key things I learned so much from my mentors is that, success is not a matter of time, but it's a matter of team.
That's right.
And you are part of this process in this community just by sharing. By just hearing what Patricia is up to in the world, you're learning like, that makes sense. By just hearing what Sharon is facing and walking towards and supporting that process, you're like, wow, I'm inspired. By just listening to what is being shared in this conversation, it really creates that type of fire. So I want to encourage you to stay in accountability. And here are some of the ways that you can actually stay in accountability through that process of writing your book. First thing I want you to do is write the names of 3 people who can be your accountability partner. And I want you to be realistic, all right? I don't want you to pick people who, you like them, you vibe with them alone, but they are willing to pull you to the next level.
Yes,
all right.
That's important.
So Sharon, don't pick someone who, when they call you and say, "Girl, what's going on with that book?" You say, "Yeah, I have no time right now. I'm busy." And they're like, "Oh, I hear you. Ready to go get a couple of drinks?" You don't want that person, right? You want that person to be in your face saying, "Nope, you're not going out today. I thought you're supposed to be writing right now, what's happening, that will really keep you in that space of accountability." So write that down. You may know some of those people right now, write them down.
They may be sitting right here on Zoom with you.
Right.
So write their names down, and I want you guys to go ahead and do that.
And as we said 3 persons, so you may just have to come with 1, because there's Shanta, there's Himwali. You just need to come with 1 more person, right?
Love it.
And then in walking through that accountability process, we want to encourage you to set a lifeline, not a deadline. We try not to use that type of language, because it really creates a type of, you want the process to be life-giving.
That's right. Your book, baby, is not a dead thing. It's alive, right? So we speak of lifelines for getting it done. So when you set a lifeline, I want you to complete this sentence, right? I will have a physical copy of my book in my hand by, and give a date and a time.
All right, come on. I want to begin to see those responses in the chat right now. Everyone.
Your accountability partner, I want you to type their first name only in the chat. You can just tell us 1 for now, and then give us the date and time in which you will have your book in your hand.
Date and time zone. All right.
Yeah.
So Eastern. Come on, Sharon. Where is that? I'm not seeing Samar. Don't say
Patricia.
Patricia.
Both Patricias.
So
I know the
Patricia
pressure's
Campbell
on.
And Patricia Franklin. All right, Samara said my friend is
Fajir.
Fajir. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, you see, I've been to the Middle East, so I think I know.
Well, I've been to the other parts of the Middle East.
We're going to have a competition, huh?
Yeah. I remember I was talking to someone. I was like, "Yeah, I've been to the Middle East. I was in Egypt and Jordan," and she just,
Israel.
Politely shaking her head. Well, yeah, where I am is on the other side. So come on, let's see those dates. Beautiful. Patricia said, okay.
Nice. Kalia, Priscilla, and Wale. I will have this completed by March 2021. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And what time, Patricia? And
what day?
Okay.
Sharon said on, what's that? March, April. That's March. Yeah, March 30th, 2021. 9 p.m. Eastern.
All right.
Awesome.
I'm gonna hold you to it. Let's see what else we have here.
Look, Mina said, Sarah is her accountability
Very
partner.
good.
Awesome. Army is putting Marlise on the spot. Oh no. Okay. Either she's putting you on the spot or you're putting her on the spot. But either way, we know that Marlise and Army, they are gonna get it done.
All
I
right.
love it.
And let's get some dates. All right, let's get a date and let's get a time.
I know Venus's date. She is part of our relaunch program, and so I know her date. I'm not going to share it with you though. I'm excited for you, Venus.
All right, so let's keep to those dates. Let's keep to that healthy timeline. All right. Samara says the
4th. Let's see, that's March the 15th, 2021.
3 p.m. What time zone is that? 3 p.m.
No, I'm sorry. I've been saying March. That's April. So April for Sharon and April for Samar.
Okay, good. And you just let us know the time zone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's okay.
No, we too. I trust me, in the office. So I'm originally from Trinidad, and we usually use the date, month, and year. And Chandra's US, and she's like month, date, and I'm always confused on documents. Like, come on, guys. And it just makes sense for me. I find it makes sense. Right? You start with the lesser and the bigger, right? Exactly.
Nope, I don't get it.
All right. Okay, good, beautiful. So as we close, I wanna congratulate you all for just taking this action. Being very, very clear on what is your process and how you will really stay committed to it. And I want to leave you just with four keys, 4 practical things you can really help buttress that accountability. All right, post your why. Post it in your home, post it, on your refrigerator. What is the reason why you are doing this story? Yes. So that it will constantly remind you of the reason that you have embarked on this journey.
Yeah. Secondly, before you go there, sometimes it's important for us to be reminded of our why, so that when we feel like stopping, we can have that extra push to keep on going.
Definitely. And then secondly, post your book cover.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a friend of ours. They didn't complete the book itself, but they designed the book cover, and they were on stage, and they presented it to the world, and man, that set them on fire. They needed to get it done.
That's right.
I'm sure I was like, oh my God. So somebody, you have to do that, right? Set it on fire. All right. So I want to encourage you to think about, really moving that process forward. I see Samara said, could the why include a business reason? And also, of course, definitely.
Yes.
All right, definitely.
However, I will say this, you want your why to be so personal and so convicting that it almost makes you cry. Like your why you want it to engender such emotions that even when you feel like you don't want to do it anymore, you'll continue to just press forward. I love what Priscilla said. She says, post my why. It's important to remember. It is, because there will be so many things that life throws your way, especially when you're on your journey toward purpose, that you need that in order to keep going. Another way to even develop your why, a stronger why, is to use strategy number 3, which is to Google the problem that you solve. Oh my God.
We took a team of persons through this process, whereby when you begin to Google the problem or the area or the real estate that you're going to serve it, and you begin to see all those articles and discussions, it really begins to move you forward. Like, wow.
People need this. Like, if you had the cure to cancer right now, wouldn't you would pull all-nighters, you would do everything in your power to actually get the content in somebody's hand, because it's life-saving, it's life-changing. And I want you to see your book as being that antidote, that antibiotic that people need to save their lives. Because it is, no matter what your topic is. There are people who are struggling, who need your help. And just go ahead and Google your topic and find out, what are people saying about X, Y, and Z? What are people saying about nutrition? Why do people need nutrition advice? And you will see tons and tons of news articles. You'll see tons and tons of blog articles stating the problems that people are having right here in this moment that you can solve with your content.
And if you want a surround sound effect, go to YouTube and begin to type in the search bar, and you begin to hear testimonials and concerns that people are having. And there would be a piece of content creation that you will encounter that will be so riveting. You're going to move it, you're going to save it. From time to time, you're going to revisit it. You know, when you're feeling to stop, you're going to go back and play that video and be like, man, I can't stop. I can't quit, because there are many people like her that I'm called to serve and to support. All right. So I want you to think strategically about that. And it's similar to what we said, you know, not just share your lifeline, but share your lifeline with people you respect. All right. Sometimes you would tell people, yeah, I'm up to something. Yeah, I'm planning something. You share it with people, but I want you to share it with someone who gets you afraid, right?
who you're afraid of disappointing, who's expecting you to play full out in the world. And if you stop, they will be very, very disappointed.
That's right. So
my husband is that for me. I can't tell him I'm going to do something and then not do it, because I'll think about what he'll think of me, and then I'll just start doing it.
Think good thought. So I always, you know, in our mentorship programs, we tell people, you see the people who you're hiding from, avoiding from, trust me, probably 90% of the time, that's the person you need in your space, right? Because remember, we always say people love to use the term coach. But if you break down the concept of a coach is not someone who's called to be your friend. I want you to sit with that. They are called to bring you to your next best version of yourself.
That's right.
So they're not called to, you know, for you to hold hands and to, you know, drink coffee and feel all happy and bubbly. They're there to push you to your next level. And when you reach that, during the pushing process, you don't like them. But when you're on the next level, you're like, man,
I couldn't have done it without him.
My life is so unrecognizable. All right, so I want you to begin to think. Go through your Rolodex, your mental Rolodex. That person who you're avoiding, that person you say, I just can't stand him or whatever. You might realize the reason you can't stand because they put a mirror up before you. And you're like, man, I think I need that person in my space. I need to let them know what I'm working on so that we can move forward. So Patricia said, I love that. Push me to my next level. 2 books in the next 12 months. Come on now.
Good for you. Good for you. That's exciting.
Come on.
And we are here to support you. I know there are many of you who would love the support of our team at the Bestsellers Academy to help you move from blank page to published book. And we're here to support you in that way. You could certainly go to support.thebestsellersacademy.com so that you can set up a time to speak with us. That's support.thebestsellersacademy.com to get a one-on-one clarity session to see where you stand and how you can actually get your book done in a way that supports your busy lifestyle, that supports where you are right now. So Molly's going to put that up on the screen. And then secondly, and finally, those of you who are still wanting to fine tune your message and you still understand that you have something compelling to share with the world, but you may not know exactly how to craft that message in a way that allow you to show up boldly and brilliantly. Well, we want you to be a part of our workshop on December the 8th. It's girlshareyourstory.com. You can go there to find out more, but it'll be myself and Wale as trainers, and we are there with 2 powerful women, Lisa Nichols, who's a multi-award-winning best-selling author, and Doreen Rainey. She is the founder of the Radical Success Academy. So go ahead to girlshareyourstory.com to get registered for that free event, and we look forward to just supporting you and witnessing you blossom into a best-selling author.
So guys, I'm really, really excited. I want you to clap yourself, pat yourself on the back, hug yourself right now. Come on and begin to just say, you know, I'm worth it. I'm worth it. And I'm really, really excited about what is happening in your life as you're moving forward. For those, I see some people asking, yes, Girl Share Your Story. So that's www.girlshareyourstory.com so that you could just be a part of that session. As you can see, we are moving forward. Right? Thanksgiving or no Thanksgiving, we are pouring into your lives because it's important. Because that turkey is going to be over, but your purpose is still going to be ready, waiting for you to pick right back up and to move forward. Come on, somebody.
That's
right?
right. That's
Christmas or no Christmas, right? New Year or no New Year, your purpose should never go on vacation.
Amen.
I say your purpose should never go on vacation. It's essential because lives are depending on you. So we charge you, to lock arms. It may not be us, but lock arms with someone. We charge you to move forward brilliantly and unafraid and unapologetic.
That's right.
We charge you to continue not just being accountable, but being committed. And what you are working on right now must move into the space of non-negotiable. And what does non-negotiable means? It's just like when you think about what you spend in your home. There are items you say, I need shelter. I need to pay my mortgage. I need to eat, right? That's non-negotiable. So I want you to begin to see crafting your story as non-negotiable. Move it from the place of discretionary spending to essential investment. I need to invest in myself. I need to invest in this time. I need to invest in this process. I need to set aside that time. So we charge you, Patricia. We invite you to just continuously moving forward one step at a time. And we look forward to celebrating with you when you become that international best-selling author. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to supporting you, and we see you on the other side. Take care, guys. Cheers.